Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Lynn Brooks.
And I'm Terri Brewer. We begin this Friday evening with a look at your weather.
A lot of things going on. People hitting the road to go to Missouri for Bama's game. Another maybe heading out on the town tonight. Will the weather stick around for your weekend? Let's find out from the man who knows, Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott. Happy Friday, Richard.
Hey, Lynn and Terri, good Friday afternoon to you. Kind of mild today. 84 down Tuscaloosa. We got 84 down the south from Marion, Utah, Geiger, York, Linden all reporting 84 this hour. 75 back in Gaston, 74 Coleman. A little cooler due to some cloud cover, even some showers in parts of northeast Alabama earlier today. No rain to talk about now. We're rain-free and cloud-free for the most part until you go northeast of Birmingham. But I think all the local high school football games tonight looking rain-free. 70 at 7. Temperatures will likely drop to around 66 to wrap up those local games tonight. But what about the game day forecast happening in Missouri? We'll talk about the Columbia forecast coming up in a bit, so stay with us.
Thank you, Richard. A Tuscaloosa hospital looked like a disaster area today.
But it was all part of Bryce Hospital's mass casualty exercise. Shelton State nursing students helped hospital staff reenact what could happen if a tornado struck the campus. People involved took steps to make it look like a real disaster situation. Safety Director Stan Chambly says this drill is even more important after last year's storms. Organizers say this is a realistic way for the hospital staff to practice what to do in case of an emergency.
When you've got patients that are acting out like, which would be in a real life scenario, you've got people coming up, you don't know what you're walking into anytime you go into something.
What happened on April 27th of last year really made me bring an upswing to everything about realistic value.
Chambly says the hospital holds a drill like this one twice a year.
It may be hard to believe, but thousands of veterans are considered homeless across the U.S. Today, the Tuscaloosa Veterans Affairs Medical Center is doing something to help. They held a stand down for Homeless Veterans Day at the Beulah Baptist Center in Tuscaloosa. The event provided a time for veterans to connect with other veterans as well as get opportunities for ways to get them off the streets and return to the lives they once knew. People involved say the local coalition is doing their best to reach out. Local veterans say the information about events like this needs to go out to more people.
There are plenty homeless veterans that's really out there and probably don't even know about this particular program.
They have a good coalition here in Tuscaloosa, a good homeless coalition that actually goes out and look for homeless people in general.
This event is a collaborative event with other government and community agencies, also veterans organizations, faith-based and civic groups.
The Crimson Tide is headed to Columbia, Missouri for the first time since 1978. The Missouri Tigers are the new kids on the block in the SEC so far. Their record in the conference, 0-3. The Crimson Tide remains, of course, undefeated and #1 in the nation. This Saturday's game will be played at Memorial Stadium in Columbia, Missouri. Kickoff for this one scheduled for 2:30 p.m. It'll be televised on CBS. And, of course, WVUA is the place to start your football Saturdays. Don't miss Crimson Tide kickoff Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Gary Harris will have complete live game day coverage with special guests, including Chad Moeller, Sports Information Director for Missouri. Also, he'll have a breakdown of the matchup and lots of feature stories on the Tide. That's every Saturday morning right here on WVUA TV. And before you cheer on the Tide this Saturday, get your football fix tonight, Football Friday, right after WVUA News at 10. Gary Harris and the WVUA sports team will bring you all the highlights from West Alabama's biggest games. That's starting at 10:35. On your election watch now, the vice presidential debate is now history. The running mates took center stage last night in a debate that was substantial and combative.
Here is a recap of the first and only vice presidential debate.
Joe Biden and Paul Ryan presented starkly different visions for the country. Ryan said the Obama administration has taken America in the wrong direction.
23 million Americans are struggling for work today. 15% of Americans are living in poverty today. This is not what a real recovery looks like.
Biden assailed the GOP for stonewalling tax breaks for the middle class.
And they're holding hostage the middle class tax cut because they say we won't continue the middle class tax cut unless you give the tax cut for the super wealthy.
I think it was one of the most substantive debates or engagements we've seen throughout this campaign.
Referring to Romney's infamous 47% gaffe, Ryan had this jab.
I think the vice president very well knows that sometimes the words don't come out of your mouth the right way.
After President Obama's lackluster debate performance last week, his running mate was on the attack.
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
But some analysts criticized his aggressive style.
Dismissive laughs, the interruptions, the sort of shouting. I think that Ryan was calmer and, frankly, more presidential.
President Obama said Biden was terrific.
His passion for making sure that the economy grows for the middle class came through, so I'm really proud of him.
A CNN ORC poll showed voters narrowly favored Ryan, but the results were a statistical tie. Despite Biden's strong performance, it may not be enough to erase President Obama's weak performance in Denver. The real test will be when the candidates at the top of the ticket square off once again next week. Reporting from Danville, Kentucky, I'm Sandra Endo.
According to the Commission on Presidential Debates, the next presidential debate will be held Tuesday, October 16th. The last debate is Monday, October 22nd. The Commission also says all debates will begin at 8 p.m. and will run through 9:30 p.m.